Hi guys, so today's video is going to be a list of 15 different series that I want to finish in 2020. There are a couple of these that are not necessarily going to be the end of the series, and so what I mean by that is, for example, I would really love to read Rhythm of War if it comes out in 2020, which it's looking like it's going to come out in 2020, but that's obviously not the end of the Stormlight Archive books. So only a couple of these are going to be, I hope I can read the rest of what's currently going to be available. Getting into it, I'm just going to go ahead and go off of what I just said and say Rhythm of War, Stormlight Archive. I have enjoyed the first three books immensely, but book 3 of the first 3 for me was it wasn't that I disliked it by any means. I still think it's a great book. It has some of my favorite moments of any books out there, but it was my least favorite of the 3, and I think it's because the first 5 books are going to be their own one big arc, which means that third book is right in the middle, and so I'm really looking forward to the next one. 1, because of Stormlight Archive, which I enjoy a lot, and 2, because I'm very curious to see what Sanderson is going to do with some of the events that have transpired in the previous books. Going in a pretty different direction, I'm going to also say I want to finish the Lunar Chronicles. I'm so frustrated because I've read all but the last one, and these to me, they definitely feel like the younger end of young adult. Since young adult, 12 to 18 is the age range, at least that's what it is in the US. And I've just found that some books definitely lean more mature, and then some, it's kind of like, oh, well, if a younger reader, like a 10-year-old who was wanting to get into young adult books read this, I feel like that would be a good book for them. And that's kind of how I feel about the Lunar Chronicles. They're a good transition from middle grade to young adult. They're fun, they're science fiction retellings, and I just need to read that last one. And on top of that, they're getting cover reprints, and the new covers are really pretty. Next up is a series I feel like some people are going to be really, they're just going to feel some stuff when I say this, but the Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard, I don't know what it is about this series that it's been deemed super tropey YA. Ugh, it's just filled with so many tropes, blech. And I'm just like, well, tropes aren't inherently bad. I like some tropes. There's certain tropes I really enjoy. I read the first 2 quite a while ago. I don't remember them that well, but I remember having a pretty good time with them. I definitely felt like they were good books to read in between some of the big chunky adult fantasy books out there. And I don't know if when I get back to the series, if I'm going to be like, yeah, these are maybe a little extra tropey and not necessarily in a way I like, or if I'm going to get back to it and be like, you guys are crazy, this is fun. The next 2 series on this list, I genuinely don't know if I want to finish these series because I really loved the first books, and everybody tells me the series go downhill after the first book, so I'm scared. But Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson, and then Bloodsong by Anthony Ryan. Bloodsong especially. I don't think I've met anybody who likes the continuation. I'm so nervous. Do I want to finish that series? I can't tell. And then Queen of the Tearling, I've heard that the second one is also very good, but I've heard the third one, a lot of people really don't like the ending, but there are elements of the first one that are kind of weird. And I think I may have been a little spoiled by a comment at one point about the end of that trilogy, so I have an idea, I think, of what's going to transpire. And I don't know if it's going to bug me or not. I mean, does the quality go down? I don't know. Switching back to young adult, the next 3 books I'm going to talk about are all books that the sequels and, from what I can tell, the last books in these series are all coming out this next year, and I'd like to finish them up. One of them would be the 3rd book, the Ash Princess series. My husband always calls it Trash Princess, and so I almost said Trash Princess. Let's just call it that, the Trash Princess series. So the 3rd one is going to be called Ember Queen, and I definitely think that these books are very tropey, but I had a lot of fun with the first one. The second one I enjoyed, but I maybe enjoyed it a little less than the first one. So I want to see where the 3rd one's going to go. I think I didn't necessarily love what's going on with the antagonist, but it could be really cool in the 3rd one, or it could be a flop. We'll see, but I'm still excited about it either way. After that, we have the sequel to Serpent and Dove. I believe it's called Blood and Honey, and I read Serpent and Dove very quickly. I saw it and I was like, you know what? I'm kind of in the mood to read this. It sounds like it's got a little more romance than I usually gravitate toward, but every now and then that's kind of fun. But there were elements about that book that I found very entertaining and very enjoyable, and there were other elements that I didn't really know how I felt about, and I kind of want to see what's going to happen in the next one. After that, we have Shadow of the Fox. The third one is called The Night of the Dragon, and I'm really looking forward to this third one. I loved the first book. I loved it so much. It is a Japanese-inspired fantasy story that follows a character named Yumeko, who's all sweet and innocent and a little naive. She's also a little bit of a trickster. And then it follows another character who is this very brooding samurai Shadow Clan fella, and the two of them cross paths, and they kind of have to work together toward a certain goal. And it's a traveling story. I really loved that first one. The second one, it was missing a certain thing from the first one that I can't really say without giving away spoilers, but I think that certain thing is going to be back in the third one, and I really want to see. I think that second one was just one of those, it had to be that way for the story, even if I didn't love it, so by the end, it'll be worth it, hopefully. We'll find out, but I really, really, really loved the first one. Enjoyed the second one, but I'm really looking forward to this third one. I think it could end up being one of my new favorites, or not. We'll find out. Next on this list is one of those, I just want to read what is out by this person. And that would be pretty much anything by Joe Abercrombie in the First Law world. So I know he's got a lot of standalones that are in that same world and some short stories, I believe. And I just want to read all of it. Everybody says they're better than the original trilogy. I enjoyed the original trilogy quite a bit, and I loved the character work so much. Glocta. My heart. But there were certain elements of the trilogy that I definitely believe that I have yet to read Joe Abercrombie's best. And I don't think that's a bad thing to say, because, you know, you would hope that the authors are going to continue to get better. And I definitely believe that there are elements. I'm not saying that him as an author, like, oh, it was just, you know, it was his first try and he did pretty good. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I definitely believe that he's probably going to continue to get better. And from what I've heard, the rest of the books that are involved in that world are better, and I'm really excited about it. I just want to read them all. On a similar vein, I also want to get to King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. I've read the Grisha trilogy, I've read the Six of Crows duology, and I want to read King of Scars and Language of Thorns. It's kind of a similar thing with Abercrombie, where I just want to get everything from that world. So with Leigh Bardugo, I just want to get all the Grishaverse. I just want to get it all, especially with the adaptation coming out. I would love to see the lore in Language of Thorns. It's also very pretty, and if it ends up being PG enough, I could see myself lending it to my little nieces someday, because it definitely has that fairy tale look to it and stuff. And then King of Scars, I've heard some pretty good things about. I know there's going to be another one, but I would like to get through everything in the Grishaverse this next year. Next up, we have two series that are trilogies, and I've read the first one, and I happen to own the second and third for both of these, so I want to read them, and that would be the Ever the Hunted series by Erin Summerall and I Darken by Kirsten White. And I Darken is a historical fiction retelling. It's a gender swap, so Vlad the Impaler, but a girl, and this particular character is kinda, I guess you could say, an anti-hero. She's a bit of a villain. I don't know how much of a hero or villain she is in truth. She's kind of just a little bitter about a lot of things and just goes for whatever she wants. But it's one of those stories where she's not so terrible that I feel like a terrible person reading about her. But my friend Joshana, it's one of her favorite series. I read the first one 2 years ago now, so not this last year, but the year before, for her birthday, and so I'm thinking I'm gonna finish up the trilogy for her birthday this next year. Ever the Hunted is a story that I felt was very atmospheric. It follows a girl whose father dies, and now she has been put on this quest to find her father's killer. She is a very good tracker, and that's why they've sent her out to do it, and they believe that it was her childhood best friend slash person that she was kind of in love with. So that's the person they think did it. That was the first one. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought it was a little romance heavy, it was a little tropey, but it didn't bug me. I didn't hate the romance. I definitely think one of the tropes is a little bit the special snowflake. I know that's a trope that a lot of people don't like, but whatever, in moderation, it doesn't really bug me. So I would like to finish out the trilogy. The first one kind of left off on a little bit of a cliffhanger, so I'm curious to see where the story goes, I have no idea. I feel like it could have ended in the first one with just some of the magic and stuff a little up in the air and some other things a little up in the air. But based off that ending, I definitely am curious to see where it goes. The next two series are both going to fall into the I just want to read what's going to be out, but the series I know won't be completed. They're both sagas, and they both have to do with Vikings. One of them is Vinland Saga. I've mentioned it a lot. I know I've mentioned it a lot, and I'm not sorry, because it's great. Do yourself a favor. Check it out. The other one would be the Strongbow Saga by Judson Roberts. Anytime I talk about books that are underhyped, I usually mention this one because this was one of those really sad situations where it was a great story, and for whatever reason, it didn't do that great. And so this poor author was kind of kept in limbo because the publishers, they didn't want to let him out of his contract to where he could potentially go to someone else. They didn't want to let him out of his contract, but they also didn't want to commit to having him write more of the series and putting that out. So they basically just waited until nobody knew it existed. And it's such a bummer because I really enjoy this series. It's young adult, so if you're looking for a Viking story that is maybe not as graphic, this would be a good one. It's historical fiction, and it feels so atmospheric. It's so good. The main character was born a slave, but he is technically the son of a chieftain and an Irish princess. And now he is given an opportunity through some tragic situations to make a name for himself. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. I have to read the fourth one, though. I've read the first three. The fourth one is out. I want to read the fourth one. And then hopefully eventually the author will put out more in the series. Last on this list would be Sanderson, Brandon Sanderson. This man has written a lot of books, and I've read a lot of his books, but he still has more. So his short stories, I would like to read those, the Arcanum Unbounded, everything in there. I've read Mistborn Secret History, I've read Edge Dancer, and that's basically it. And I would really like to read basically everything else in the Cosmere. That's it for some series that I'm hoping I can finish in 2020. Let me know some series that you're hoping to complete, and also let me know, am I gonna regret reading the end of Queen of Tearling and the end of Bloodsong? I'm so afraid that I will. As always though, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later.